And now let me welcome on to the ACC Insider Podcast, none other than national champion North Carolina Tar Heel Justin Jackson, who you had a big day on Saturday, Justin. You made it onto game day. You watched North Carolina knock off Duke. You watched a buzzer beater, and allegedly you stormed the court. Can you confirm or deny these allegations that you were one of the court stormers there in the Dean Dome?
No, I'll deny it until I go into the ground. I was not on the floor. I had some teammates that maybe were, but I stopped at the bench. At the bench was the furthest I'll go. But yeah, it was an awesome, dude. That was the best game for one that I've been to. Um, and two, like just the environment. Like it's like one of those things you sit there and it's like, man, this is what college basketball is about, right? So yeah, unbelievable Saturday.
Yeah, I was there as well, and I'll say the same thing. Like, usually Carolina has a reputation of having that wine and cheese crowd, right? They do. And when I drove up, first of all, it's tough to get parking an hour and a half before the game. Number two, you saw the line of students outside the Dean Dome that was wrapped all the way around. I'm like, whoa, I don't think I've ever seen this before. And then it just had a different feel to it than I don't know why. Like, why do you think that was the case? That I just felt a different level of energy than maybe, and obviously, you guys have had some incredible teams, years, all of it over the last 25 years. I just never felt that at the Dean Dome.
Well, I mean, I'll even add to it. Like I was leaving shoot around and that was at 2:30 and there were students already lined up at the door, right? Which as a player, I never really got a chance to fully see how the fans are and the students.
Right.
But I think honestly, coming off of the year that we had last year against Duke, right? Like Duke dominated us all year last year, rightfully so. Duke dominated almost everybody. Um, but coming into this game, there was so much hype when it comes to whether it's Cam Boozer versus Caleb Wilson or how good Duke is and how they've been dominating teams. And UNC is a good basketball team, right? And so I think that's kind of what it was. Like there was just way more hype and almost like hopefulness of like, hey, we could actually beat Duke this year when last year, because I went to the game last year too, and there was really never
No
a
shot.
time where it was like, man, like we can get these guys, you know? So I think that's what it was. And so to your point, that's always one of the biggest gripes is like all the donors and stuff that sit down there in the lower bowl. But heck, they showed out that game. So shout out to those
I
guys.
still would change it. I still would get those
100%.
students closer. But
100%.
but for one game, it was really good. It's still never going to be Cameron until you get those students closer.
Mhm.
Well, it's never going to be Cameron because what makes Cameron is the fact that it's like so small and compact, right? Like there's just no space for anything in that building. There's
Mhm.
no space to sit on press row. There's no space to go to the bathroom. There's no space to get food. There's just no space. There's no space in
Yeah.
it, so it turns into this little bandbox.
So what happened after the game? Let's go to that first
Yeah.
for you, and then we'll get to the game itself. But all right, so everybody's rushing the court, and you're just standing there, cool, calm, collected, like
No,
people are
no, no, no.
mobbing behind you. What are you doing? And your wife was with you.
Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, I was definitely excited. Like I was jumping around, I was yelling. That's why my voice sounds like this right now.
Okay.
But once I saw a few guys leave where we were sitting and past the bench, like that's where I kind of tucked away a little bit back to my wife, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law. Somehow they were kind of up behind us, kind of a ways. Somehow they ended up right next to us. So we had our little celebration time right there. But I mean, it was crazy, right? Like I see a bunch of people just up in arms about, for one, UNC storming the court, and then two,
It's
the fact that
embarrassing, Justin.
it was a double
It's
court storming.
embarrassing.
You can say what you want, but I mean, I love it. Um,
Me too. I'm with
but
you. I think hell with it. Hell with it. Do the double, do the triple court storm. I
well,
don't care.
well, this
Like you
is
beat
okay.
Duke.
This is my thing. This is my thing with it all. Like if Kansas last night would have beat Arizona and they would have stormed the court, I would have been all for it, right?
Me
Like
too.
why?
Yep.
Because it's a massive win, right? Like that UNC Duke game, I think it was the first time that UNC has ever won off of a buzzer beater in that rivalry, right? Once again, coming off of getting dominated last year against Duke. all the hype, everything going on. It's a buzzer beater. Like that's what college basketball is about. Now, with the safety, I mean, having one security guard at each corner of the court, that's probably not prepared for a court storming. So I can
Very true.
understand from, from whether it's Duke's perspective or whoever's when it comes to safety, 100%. Everybody needs to be safe. Everybody needs to be protected. But when it comes to like, that's the college basketball environment that we want, right? Like we talk about NIL, transfer portal, all this stuff that's taking away college basketball. Well, that's still a piece of it that you don't see at the professional level, right? So I'm all for it. Like I would have been hype if Kansas would have stormed the court last night. Like I would have been like, heck yeah, like go ahead. But no,
So
I did not.
if your wife
No,
if
they
your wife
are
wasn't
no. Hold on. I'm not
no,
gonna.
I
I'm
want
not
to
gonna
know
let
if
you.
he stormed.
I'm
If
not gonna
his
let you
wife
get.
wasn't with him, would you have stormed?
No, that's still too far out of my comfort zone. There, I wouldn't have stormed the court.
I'm not. I'm not letting you get away with this. No. I'm not letting you get with it.
Let me hear it.
That's such little brother energy. Like that's what the teams that aren't supposed to win games do. Like when you storm the court, what you're saying is like, hey, we're the underdog. We're not supposed to win this. We just did something that we're not capable of doing that no one thought we could do. Like if you are, my only issue is that if you're North Carolina, the expectation should be when Duke is coming into our building, we're winning. You know what I mean? Like I get the
buzzer
emotion.
beater, but it's
No,
how they did
I
it.
get it. I get it. But that is for like storming the court is what like underdogs do when they pull off
Nope.
a victory that you're
Nope.
not supposed to get. I
disagree.
I can't get behind
How they
Duke
did
by
it.
storming the court.
How they did it to me
Carolina's too big.
justified a court storm.
Carolina's too big.
They
Carolina's
led
too
for
big.
they led for 0.4 seconds in that game.
Correct. That's
You know
right.
what?
Like
That's right.
Like
Hey.
I hear you 100% when you talk about little brother. Like that's something that NC State would do in a situation of like
Yes,
it's just
exactly.
a regular game, right? I understand it. But you add like the type of rivalry that it also is, right? Like, yeah, do we walk into every game expecting that we should have a chance to win or we should win? Yes. But the last three times that we've played them, we didn't, right? So now you come into this situation and it's like, man, this is a win that could like really solidify that we're a legitimate Final Four team. And they were getting dominated in the first half. Like
They
that's the other
did.
thing.
They got
Like
punked in the first half. You're
like
right.
at halftime when like me and my wife and my brother-in-law, like we all went back kind of not to the locker room, but like to the area where you kind of hang out. And it was like, man, I don't know. Like this Duke team is like really putting it on us right now. Like we got some guys that didn't show up in the first half. Like I don't really know. So you have that, and then you flip it to how the game ended.
Look,
I
I
don't
get it. It's a
I
great
don't
win,
blame you.
man. All-time win, all-time memory. I will say, I do have one beat with Seth Trimble. You gotta wait those extra point 0.4 seconds, right? Because the fact that there's point 0.4, come on, just
He
I know
didn't
you got a quick
know.
release, man. I know you got a quick release. Wait those point 0.4 seconds because the fact that it's not like a true buzzer beater, man,
Right.
it would have
He
been
That
thought
so
it
would have
much
was
been
better.
over. Come on,
If
man.
the
He thought
only
it was over.
way, the only time you led was when it was the final score, oh, it would have been so much better.
right.
It would
Right.
have been
I
so much
agree.
better.
Now I do have, when it comes to blue blood conversation, I saw something the other day that said this was the first time since '82 that UNC has beat Kansas, Kentucky, and Duke. Um,
Wow.
so I mean, obviously the fans and stuff, they're not thinking of that whenever they storm the court. But like there was a lot going into that game
Yep.
that like people don't really think about. Um, but I mean, heck, it's college basketball. Like we saw a great game last night in Kansas and Arizona, and it was just, that's what you love to see when it comes to that.
My big thing, I remember when I saw you, and I think I saw Hansbrough talking to him in the line to go to the bathroom at halftime, and I was just like, what
Yeah.
is going on here? Well, they got this room, Rob. They got this room that you go to.
You could
Tyler,
have just said we talked to him at halftime. You had to throw in that we get
whatever,
in line for the bathroom.
whatever,
I talked to him
whatever.
at halftime. How
Too
easy is
much
that?
info. Fine, too much info. Anyway, was again the fact that Boozer had two fouls. They got Gamba out of the game with three, but like Boozer had two fouls with seven. He's playing more than 7 minutes, and it wasn't like they were making it tough on him. They were
Mhm.
settling for jump shot after jump shot after jump shot. And I think the biggest key was whoever, whether it was Hubert, whether it was somebody in staff, whatever, when they came out of halftime, the biggest difference was, hey, you know what? we are going down low to Henry every time we can at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And Boozer was just playing, listen, he didn't pick up his third, but it didn't matter at that point. They were taking advantage of him and scoring at will in the post.
Yeah, I mean, that was the biggest thing. Like Caleb, to me, solidified himself in that first half as, in my opinion, top three, right? Like when you have a conversation, it would never happen, but when you have a conversation of the number one pick, you have to throw Caleb's name in there just for fun, because
Yep.
some of those shots he was making in the first half, like it was like, dude, that you're not supposed to be able to do that. Like, especially as a freshman, like those aren't shots you're supposed to make. But Henry had 0 at halftime, right? And so that was, for me, it was like, and I've been a huge Henry fan all year, but for me, it was like, man, like that first half, it was like, is this moment too big? Like, what's going on? And then to your point, I think because he didn't play well in the first half, that's why Cam was able to play with 2 fouls, because it was like, Henry's not giving us nothing. You know what I mean? But then that second half, it was like he completely, whether it was a coach in the locker room or whatever, got into him, he completely switched it, right? Like, because Caleb scored, I think, 6 points in the second half, and Henry was dominating inside in fashion that you wouldn't expect Henry to dominate, right? Like first half, guys were kind of going through his chest. It was like, oh man, like these guys are just physically powering through him. Second half, it was him, and so yeah, I mean, it was like UNC made plays defensively. I think UNC made some, like, they held Isaiah Evans at bay majority of that game, which was massive. And then getting big fella in foul trouble and having him foul out was a complete game changer, right? Like, because that's kind of the guy that keeps Duke physically imposing. And once you take that out, now you have to ask Cam to be that guy. And it just completely changes the role that he gets to play.
When I said this on After Dark after the game, and I think I said this actually to Seth when we had him on, Goodman. But the thing that makes me so happy that it was him that had this moment is he's everything we want college basketball to be, and everything that we kind of lose in this transfer portal era. Because he came in, like, he did what you did, man. Like, he came in and he was a bit player as a freshman, was a role player as a sophomore, was a starter as a junior. Now you were a star in a lottery pick, or what was it, 15th pick in the draft
15,
after your junior year. But he came back for his senior year. He's a star. He's one of the faces of this team. He's one of the faces of the program, and he had this moment that's going to be etched in the history of this rivalry forever. And like, he's the guy. When you are a fan of college athletics, you want to root for those guys that you see come in and you're like, oh man, he's trying so hard, but I don't know if he's that good. Develop into guys as a senior, like, oh man, this guy's a dog. I love this dude. Because it feels like you have that connection with them where you've seen them grown, right? So I think it was so fitting that he was the guy that had that moment. It just makes me really, really happy for him.
Yeah, I mean, and for me, it's a little bit of a different connection too, because heck, I played with his brother, right? And JP Tokoto. And so, like, one of the best moments was after the game, like seeing his dad and going up and hugging his dad. Because through like the last couple years, like he's kind of thrown around the idea of like, do I try to go somewhere else? Do I stay? But obviously has stuck with UNC. So I don't want to say I was a part of that whole, decision making. I will never say that. But like I was an ear, right? And I was somebody who was like, at least willing to talk about it all. So to have that moment with his dad after the game on the floor, everybody had already cleared out, wasn't court storming, everybody was already gone. But to have that moment too was different because, like, for one, Seth's an unbelievable human being.
Yep, huge fan.
And then as a basketball player, I love like what he brings onto the floor, right? But then to have the fact that, like, dude, this guy was running around like as a youngin when I was playing with his brother, and his dad was still in the stands, right? Like, so it was like all of that was just, it was unbelievable. But to your point, like, it's something that we miss, right? Like this year, freshmen run college basketball, but I think those vets are what going to end up being like the answer to who ends up winning a championship. I'd be willing to say that, right? Like those guys that have been in college, that have stuck through it, those are going to be the guys that end up winning championships and winning big time games. So it wasn't, I mean, there's no other player on that roster that it was more fitting to have that for sure.
Does that game, that win, change your perception of North Carolina at all? Because let's face it, we've all had our questions, right, about them this year. Obviously, it answered something for me about Caleb just being a complete MFer. Like, not that I didn't think he was one before, but like, man, what he did in the first half was just ridiculous. One of the best, first half performances I've ever seen in that rivalry. But overall, the win, how they did it, does it change anything you think of Carolina, or are they still that team that, yeah, they're probably a Sweet 16 team at the end of the day, but don't really see them because of their guards making a deep, deep run?
Well, I mean, I'm on record of saying this is a team that could go to the Final Four, because of all of the
Is that your
pieces that
heart?
they.
Is that
That's
your
my heart.
heart? Or
That's my heart, and that's my true feelings after
okay,
watching them.
okay,
Now, obviously, making it to the Final Four, so many things have to go right. Like that's just the reality for anybody. But like watching ever since their West Coast road trip, where they got cooked against Stanford and Cal, right?
yep.
Ever since they made the switch to now having Derek Dixon, and I think Kyan Evans he'll have his moments where he's really key for this team, right? But ever since they changed it and kind of handed the ball over to Derek Dixon, um, the continuity of this team looks completely different, right? It's almost like once you did that, everybody else just kind of fell into whatever role it is that they're being asked to do and just were way more comfortable. Um, and so, I mean, I think a few question marks was, okay, point guard play, right? Like I was telling my wife played basketball at Florida, so she has a liking of basketball, right? It's not like it's, super serious to her. But we were talking about it a little bit, and I was like, Derek Dixon is going to have to make some plays for us in this game, right? Because for Duke, that's the question mark for them is like point guard play, kind of the guy who makes the plays for him. Um, and last night he answered the bell, right? Like the three that he shot off of the pick and roll, where he was probably 3 feet behind the line and Cam was still closing out on him. Like that's a shot that like you would never ask a freshman to shoot ever. And he shot it and made it like it was just all right. Let's get back on defense and let's get a stop. And then for him to make, obviously Seth made the shot, but that pass that he made was like one of the best passes that you could possibly make in that situation.
There's
So
a
that
view
was
on that. There's a view on that from I think it was Garrison Brooks was recording it.
yep.
And
Mhm.
there's a view that's directly behind the bench, and it's basically behind Seth Trimble. And you watch him throw the pass, and you see Derek Dixon drive, and then he disappears, and you just see this ball come out from like this like
Yeah.
forest of Duke hands, and it's like, oh wait, oh Seth's open. It's like, oh no, what's gonna? Oh, we got open three. Where did this
We
come
got to
from?
open three because I
I
thought he was going to go in there and just try to throw something up. Like
yeah,
because I mean, in that moment, I would have done it as a freshman. Like, oh heck, I'm trying to figure something out. Um, but that was one of the biggest question marks, right? Was point guard play, and I think Derek Dixon has stepped up. The second was shooting, right? Like shooting has been one of their Achilles heel all year. And you look at the second half, they were 5 for 7 from three and made three threes at the end of the game to win it. Um, and so, like watching that game, the way they were able to at least deal, like you look at the numbers, Duke physically like dominated them, points in the paint, rebounding, all of these things that you would say, like, man, you can't lose those categories and still win the game. And they still found a way to win. I don't see how now depth is going to be an issue. I think if there's ever foul trouble or anything like that. But if the guys that were on the floor that night are able to stay on the floor, they've got the pieces to make a run, man. Like it's so I think that just kind of solidified it a little bit more that if it
I
stays that way,
I agree.
they have a chance.
I actually I agree, and I've said this since the start of the season. I just think when you look at the talent level on their front line, that when you get something like this from their backcourt, I think that there's enough there. I wouldn't call them a Final Four favorite, but I think they're capable of winning four in a row.
Right.
And I think the biggest thing is, Justin, that when they have Jaron Stevenson gives them the ability to have lineup flexibility. And when they need to go big, look at the best teams in the country, right? The biggest front lines. You got At Arizona, you got Karchenkov, who's like 6'8" and a great defender, and then you got Koa and you got Krivas. And then you look at Michigan, who at times will play Yaxel and Morris Johnson and Dymar. It goes down the line. You look at Florida's front line, and Duke obviously is really big along the front line, especially when they got Dame Sarr at the three. And I think when you have Stevenson, the ability to be able to match up with that size with the best teams in the country means that they're not going to get they're not going to get punked, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the concerns I had. Like take Louisville for example, right? I think at a certain point Louisville's going to run into a buzzsaw because I don't think that they have the ability to match up physicality wise with someone when their threes aren't going down. And I think that North Carolina has that ability, and I think I'm in. I'm in on this team making a run. I'm in. I'm with you.
Before we let you go, what about Duke? Last question.
Mm-hmm.
Say nice
What
things.
about Duke? And
Say
after
nice things
seeing
about
them, yeah, well, no, but like again, like you said, hey, getting Gamble off the court was huge, right? That was a game changer. But let's look at Duke in their totality here, and the point guard position still like it's okay, but again, I'm not like completely sold on it being much better. If it's better now than Carolina with Dixon, so. Where do you stand in kind of your confidence level of Duke making another deep run and getting to a Final Four, maybe winning the whole thing? Because ultimately, that's what Duke's playing for this year. They got the best player in the country in Cam Boozer. Anything less than a national title would probably be deflating for John Shire at Duke.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I necessarily changed my view on Duke after that game, to be honest with you. Like, you take into the fact that it is a rivalry, right? Like both teams they could have been number one. North Carolina could have been unranked, and North Carolina could have still won it just purely off of the rivalry aspect. Um, I think when I look at this Duke team, Isaiah Evans has to play well for them, right? And if he plays well for them, then they're a national title contending type team. With the point guard situation, I don't mind Caleb Foster. Like watching him throughout the season, I think there's times when he could be more aggressive. He could be maybe a little bit more assertive. But like they run so much stuff through Cam Boozer that all he has to do is set up, right? And I think, if they're able to do that and they're able to run everything, flowing, Isaiah Evans is aggressive, Dame Sarr is able to hit some threes whenever he is called upon, and then you still have the size inside. Because another guy that really didn't affect the game as much as I thought he was Malik Brown. Like I thought that he was going to be that guy who, with Henry, would kind of be more physical, defensively take him out of the game completely if he was able to. And he didn't really have an effect on the game. And so my viewpoint hasn't changed, but Isaiah Evans, in my opinion, has to play well. And I think to your point, Rob, when it comes to Jaren Stevenson, I expected to see him more on Cam, me personally, but they had him on Isaiah. And I think that size, physicality, like Jaren goes so hard too. So it's like with that, I think that took Isaiah out of his comfort zone that he's been in probably the last 6, 7 games. And so, the recipe to beat Duke, in my opinion, is to make him uncomfortable, make him take shots, that maybe he doesn't want to or more sped up or whatever. But I mean, they're still talented, man. And John Shire, as tough as it is to admit, some of the adjustments and things that he runs and does, like it's going to be a well-coached team too. And so I still think they're a Final Four team, national title contender. But if you take him out, if you take Isaiah Evans out, it starts to get a little bit more murky because everybody else has to take on a little bit more. And I don't know if they're necessarily able to take on more responsibility.
There's just a lot on Cam. There's a lot on Cam's shoulders when it comes to kind of shot creation and all that, which is a heavy burden to put on a freshman power forward.
Hard to ask at the end of a game too, Rob. It's just hard to ask at the end of the game because that's not really his game.
But I will say, yeah, I hear you. But I think he's got 3 game-winning assists this year, right? Florida, Michigan State. I think there was another one that I'm missing. Maybe I'm making that up. But he's been able to make those plays late. So I think that it's there, and I think that he's capable of doing it. I'm more concerned. Like I thought that he got a little bit tired towards the end. And so did like the one thing about the freshmen in a rivalry like that, and you could probably speak to this, Justin, is just sometimes like you get that insane like adrenaline boost in the first half, and then it comes crashing down in the
Oh
second
yeah,
half.
you're
Caleb,
at an ultimate high, and then halftime hits, and you sit down for a second, and you're like, dude, I got to go back out here and play another 20. Um, but I mean, that is one thing, man. I was shocked to see that was the play that they ran at the end of the game.
Mhm.
Like to have him come off a pick and roll and to basically have everybody spaced and to have him go off the dribble, because you do that and now you allow a 7-footer with length to be able to, cover up some of the space. Now, if you're closer to his body and you can get more into his body, then you are able to be more physical, which isn't Henry's, strength. So I was a little shocked with that. But I mean, to your point, I mean, it feels like he scored at every single level, every single way all year long, So it's like, I don't know if there's ever really a bad place for him to get the ball to try to score. But I think there was, I think he probably could have been a little bit closer to the basket with allowing a little more physicality to come into play. But heck, Henry made
You
a
just wish he had a point guard. Like to me, I just wish he
right,
had a point guard that could
right
make his life easier for him. That's
in
all.
that moment.
That's all I'm saying. It's not just
Yep.
putting the ball in his hands and saying, "Hey, Cam, go make a play."
Yep.
It's
Right.
like play a 2-man game with a point guard to make his life easier.
Yep.
That's all.
We agree. We agree. It's why they're like we call them a top 3 team instead of the best team in college basketball, kind of at this point. So, I'm with you. Well, congratulations, Justin. That was a hell of a run for your boys. That was I'm proud of you for not letting the intrusive thoughts get in and get on that court the way that some of your other former teammates did. But I'm glad you enjoyed your time down there. Glad you got to see you win.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you.
All right, here with Carolina legend Tyler Hansbrough after, man, one of the most dramatic Carolina wins I've ever seen. I mean, we didn't see this coming in the first half. And then all of a sudden they come out in the second half. They hung around long enough, I think. And then, man, like I can't even explain what happened those last couple minutes.
They found a way, and I saw you after the first, and it looked like Duke had just controlled every aspect of this game, and we were not getting anything inside and not any easy buckets. And the thing that we'll say is like Caleb Wilson, he was having one of the performances that you talk about in this rivalry for 50 years later on down the road. And he kept us in it in the first half. And then I think in the second half, I think we did a much better job of getting the ball inside. And we went to Vasar a little bit. When Gumba got into foul trouble, I think that really opened up a lot of things inside in the paint. He fouled out, and we took advantage of it. But I will say, I mean, this is a big moment for the Tar Heels, and this is going to give us a lot of confidence. But, there's a lot of season left, but this will be an all-time moment in this rivalry.
I thought maybe, I mean, again, the play of the game, we know what it was. But to me, everyone's going to look at the Trimble shot. I'm going to look at the Dixon pass. That was unbelievable. I mean, how he saw Trimble out of the corner of his eye and then delivered that pass exactly where Seth needed it. Again, Wilson carried him early, kept him in it. And then I thought some of those other guys, like you said, Vasar was really good early in the second half. Inside, and then obviously Dixon made a big 3 and then a great pass.
That's an unbelievable, call by you. And, the thing is, not only did he make that pass, he made that step in off the dribble 3-point shot late in the game, during the closing seconds that really gave us that opportunity. And, I think the whole game plan was a little bit sag off of Seth and make him dare it. But, that corner 3, that's an easy shot for a lot of people.
How big? I mean, again, we've seen Hubert win big games against Duke. I mean, he's making a habit out of this now, isn't he? I mean, obviously the one at Cameron in case final home game, obviously in the Final Four. This one's probably the third biggest, especially with kind of where we're at with Hubert and this team right now. I mean, they lose the Bay Area trip. People are down on them. And to win this in this environment, honestly, in here, you've been here way more than I have. Where does this stack up atmosphere-wise in the Dean Dome that you've seen in recent memory?
This would be the all-time for me. And the reason I say that,
The
all-time
that
game
you
in the
played
Smith.
in, or
Yes, and the reason I say that is the way that we won it. I've never seen a double court storm. You've been covering college basketball forever.
Never.
And more than anybody, I've never seen a double court storm. And I didn't know if we were going to get it cleared. It was so chaotic. But you know, this is a big win, and I'll say the way we lost those 2 games last year, they weren't even close. Dominated every aspect, wasn't even a game. And the way we started this game, it kind of got those same vibes. Saw a lot of Tar Heel fans after the first. People were upset. They were upset. We came out in the second. We got that lead with 0.1 or however many seconds were left.
Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was going to the second half, changing the game plan. You know, there wasn't a lot of adjustments within that first half when Gangba and BUZZER both picked up their second.
Yeah.
Got Gangba out of the game with the third, but BUZZER played more than 7 minutes with 2 fouls. And then I think, obviously, they went into halftime and maybe regrouped a little bit as a staff and said, hey, we're going to attack this dude.
Yeah.
And BUZZER, he didn't pick up his third, but they got whatever they wanted on him.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, I've been saying, I was on the radio and I was saying, you know, we got to attack them. We got to attack Ngumba. We got to attack BUZZER. See if we can't get that third. I saw you after the first and we talked about it. And, you know, we went into halftime and we came out, we got the ball inside a little bit more.
Yep.
And if you look at the first half, there was a huge discrepancy between points in the paint. Duke had totally dominated that. We evened it up in the second, and that was the real difference. And you saw Vasar, you saw us get some post-ups, his length. I mean, Brown is a heck of a defender.
Yeah.
He's not 7'1", not 7'2".
No.
If we can get those good positions, got Vasar a little bit of confidence. And the other adjustment we made, we had Vasar guarding BUZZER. BUZZER had some easy looks. That's not a good matchup.
Yeah.
And then we put him on a double team from the help side. We put Caleb and then Stevenson on him. And then we brought Henry over for the double team, which I felt like affected him a little bit because of his length.
Got him thinking.
Yeah.
Too.
And we didn't leave Vasar on an island or expect him to guard BUZZER.
Which nobody can one-on-one.
Yeah.
Nobody can.
No.
Right? Not in this college basketball. Nope. After the game, Shire said something about the court storm, and he said, I don't want to take anything away from Carolina, and you like John a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But what he said is, hey, listen, they got to figure out a way to get our players off the court quicker before the court storm. He said some staffer got punched in the face. His family was kind of pushing people away. It is chaotic. Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt. What do you do in a situation like this?
I don't know. I mean, I've been involved with the court storm, and I've been, on the court. Unfortunately, when fans come in there, I was just walking right to the locker room. I've never had that type of issue. But if it's such a concern, maybe they should have a protocol, and they can, run through some practices where there's a court storm, and they could get, everybody in, a safe space, and they have their own security, and they can escort them out.
Yeah. For Duke, Shire obviously seemed upset, but it's only the second loss of the season. He said, we had some defensive breakdowns late. What do you think of Duke after this game? Do you think anything differently because they kind of pissed it away at the end? Or is this still a team that you feel like, the same as you did kind of going into this game?
This was a bigger win for us than it was for Duke.
Yeah.
And, Duke is a contender. And you saw they have multiple weapons. And their defense in the half court, the way they play and the length they have, it's as good as I've seen in college.
Yeah. No, they're good. All right. Well, listen, I'm glad I came for this one.
It's a good one.
I wasn't sure. I was glad at halftime when I saw you, but man, they say this rivalry always delivers, and pretty much does, right? I mean, it pretty much does. And today, it delivered in a sense that the Carolina got their statement win. And right now, Franklin Street, Tyler, got to be insane, right?
Oh, yeah. Franklin Street.
You're going to stay away? You too old for Franklin Street?
Getting a little too old for it. I'm not sure. As bad as I want to go up there, Jeff, I can't do that anymore.
You go up for a quick cameo. You go in for like 5 minutes, and then you'd be like, you'd be doing like, a shot a minute. You'd be doing a shot a minute. No way. You'd be on the floor. All right. Listen, great seeing you, as always.